Hello and a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world, and welcome to today's LLM webinar session. It's the second time that we would have heard from New Hampshire School of Law over the last 4 to 5 months, which is fantastic because they're going to be talking to us about what makes them such a great law school to come and visit in and what makes them such a great proposition for international students in particular. I'm joined by Sarah Dorner today, who's the Associate Dean for Admissions, and she's going to be talking you through various different students' experiences, as well as hearing from the likes of Victoria, Carla, Gabriella, and Chelsea, hopefully, who can talk us through exactly what makes it such a great opportunity for students. Today's session is live on the 19th of February 2026. So if you are watching in the future and you have a few questions and you're not sure about anything, please just email us webinars@postgradsolutions.com or reach out to Sarah. They will have all your details anyway if you've registered and they will reach out, no doubt. But Sarah, over to you for the time being. I'll be back for the Q&A at the end. Any questions from anyone, please pop your questions in the Q&A box and we'll get round to it very soon. Sarah, over to you.
Thank you, Gareth. I smiled when you talked about people watching this in the future because it's funny to think like that, but I hope they do watch in the future if they're not able to join us live today. I know when we're trying to reach global populations, it can be hard to find a mutually convenient time. So many thanks to those of you who are here today. Again, my name is Sarah Dorner. I am the Assistant Dean for Graduate Admissions and International Outreach at the University of New Hampshire Franklin Pierce School of Law. I've got a great panel today of students and alumni with me. Before we kind of open up that dialogue, I wanted to just share a little bit of background information about our school and where we're located. I think a lot of people outside the US haven't even heard of the state of New Hampshire. So I wanted to just share a little bit because New Hampshire is amazing. Our law school is about 1 hour north of Boston, Massachusetts. So we're in the northeast of the US, about 4 hours from New York City, and about 3.5 hours from Montreal in Canada. So a great location. New Hampshire is consistently ranked one of the top states to live and one of the safest states in the US. It's really a beautiful place for people who love the outdoors and are excited to experience all four seasons. Everyone here at the law school today is anticipating a snowfall tomorrow. We've had some milder weather this week, and it looks like we might get some snow come tomorrow and Saturday. So beautiful all year round. Our law school is really world renowned for intellectual property. We were founded over 50 years ago by inventors and entrepreneurs with a focus on IP. And so while we offer all areas of law, that has been IP and now technology law has been a foundational area for us. And our library, we're really proud, is one of the largest academic IP libraries in the Western Hemisphere, and one of only 3 global IP research facilities around the world. When we talk about IP, we're talking about more than just copyrights and trademarks and patents, but really IP for the digital age with a broad approach. So we're looking at data and privacy, health law, biotech, of course, artificial intelligence, and our school has a really impressive sports and entertainment law institute as well. So we're looking at all of these different areas. I'll flash on the screen here for just a moment, not that I expect you to be able to read this all, but this just gives you a sense of the breadth and depth of the different courses we offer in the IP, technology, and IP related area, including legal clinics where students can gain some hands-on experience, and what we refer to as our immersive courses, where we'll sometimes take students outside of the classroom here and in different locations throughout the US for some unique on-the-ground learning opportunities. Our on-campus LLM programs are focused in either intellectual property or commerce and technology. So today you'll get to hear from students who have pursued those specializations. I'll mention briefly that we do also have online LLM programs. Those programs are specialized in intellectual property or international criminal law and justice. But I know today's focus is on our in-person programs for students who are hoping to come to the US to earn their degree. So as I mentioned, we've got those 2 different areas. For students who are watching that maybe don't already have a first degree in law, but are interested in some formalized legal education here in the US. We do also offer a master's degree for students who hold a bachelor's degree in a field other than the law. And then we have our shorter term graduate certificate, which is essentially half of a degree program for students who can't come and take the full year to be with us. A quick snapshot here of the courses that are offered as part of our IP program. We'll talk more about that. But as you can see, there's some limited requirements, a list of electives, and then from there, students really get to choose from our upper level JD electives to take classes that best fit with their professional goals. Some of our students do come with the hope to sit for a US bar exam. While our program is not designed to be a bar prep program, because it does focus on these specializations, there is typically enough flexibility in student schedules so that they can fit in those courses that may be required for bar exam eligibility. And we'll have a team here that will support you with that. A quick look at the Commerce and Tech program, which really focuses on digital and privacy law, looking at issues facing new business and e-commerce in the global information age economy. So again, you get some flexibility to take courses that best fit your goals. We'll definitely talk more about this today. So I just wanted to quickly highlight that we have over 40 student organizations that any type of area you can think of, whether you just want to connect with like a running club, students that are from your part of the world, more IP specific groups. There really is something for everyone here. It's really hard not to get involved. Um, or even if you're not taking on a leadership role within an organization, to be attending events that are sponsored by our student organizations. And then just a quick snapshot, in addition to the student groups that we host, and I apologize, I'm just getting over a bit of a cold. Um, we also have school-sponsored activities to give our international students a chance to experience US culture and New Hampshire culture specifically. So you can see at the bottom of the screen there, we take our students snow tubing. We go to the main university campus to watch an ice hockey game. They have a really strong ice hockey team there. We celebrate holidays from around the world. Earlier this week, our Asian Pacific American Law Student Association hosted an event to celebrate the Lunar New Year. The law school hosts a Thanksgiving dinner for our international student and a whole range of other events throughout the year. We have a number of different what we call kind of student success services to ensure students have the support they need to be successful while they're here. So students will get connected with an academic advisor as well as a faculty mentor to help you make sure you're taking the classes you need for your degree requirements and the classes that are best aligned with your professional goals. We also have what we call our academic success program. And this program will help you gain the skills you need to be successful in a US legal classroom. And they're also the team that will support you if you're interested in sitting for a US bar exam. So they'll guide you through the requirements and the application process for that. And then finally, I really can't say enough about our career services team. They are there to work with students one-on-one to help them tailor their resumes for the job market, to practice interviewing skills, to write cover letters, to learn effective techniques for networking. And so really they are designed to work with our students in group settings, one-on-one settings, whatever your career goals may be, they are there to support you with that. And I say a lot, I think we hear from a lot of students that they expect some sort of placement, and that's not quite how it works here in the US. Students really do have to put in the hard work to go out and find a job, but our career services team is here to support you along that journey. Okay, that was a whole lot to kind of kick us off. So I have shared enough. I wanted to just kind of give you the high level about the school and where we're located. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and turn this over to our panelists. And I think probably the best way to do this is I'll start with an initial question. And then as each of you answers, before you kind of give your response to that question, if you can just say, where you're from, um, whether you're a student or alum, a little bit about your professional background before you came here to do your LLM and what you're doing now if you've already graduated from the program. So here's the question, and then Carla, I'll start with you if that's okay. But my question here is what initially inspired you to pursue an LLM at UNH Franklin Pierce School of Law, and how did you choose your area of specialization?
Hi, Sarah. Hi, everyone. So I'm Carla Bernardo, and I'm an IP lawyer from Manila, Philippines. Before I took my JD, actually, my undergraduate degree was in English and literature and creative writing. So I've always had interest in the arts, which led me to working for one of the top boutique IP law firms in Manila after my law school. And from there, having been exposed to many interesting and relevant issues on copyright, trademark, and patent, which actually intersected with a lot of my interests in music, art, entertainment, and tech. I realized that there was so much more to learn and explore about this field. And I was lucky enough that one of the partners in our law firm, and my mentor was also an alumnus of Franklin Pierce from the class of 1993. So after our firm has given me opportunities to teach and have my papers published in law schools, they encouraged me to apply for an LLM and see my potential grow even further. And I chose UNH because I knew that it was a powerhouse for IP, and I've always heard about the great connections and the network about within the IP field for University of New Hampshire. So that
Thank you, Carla. It's always so nice to see you. So thank you for being here.
nice
I
to
know
see
it's
you.
late for you in the Philippines, so thank you for staying up late to join us this morning. Gabby, let me turn to you next since you're our
Okay.
other alumni panelist. Do you want to introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Gabriela Riveros. I'm from Paraguay, South America. So I chose UNH after a long research. So I'm a lawyer in Paraguay. Um, and when I graduated in December 2018, after my graduation, I found a job in one of the biggest law firm in Paraguay. And I didn't know anything about IP at that time, but with my exposure in my job, I was working in the trademark department, and I started to like very much everything about IP, not only trademarks. And then the pandemic came, and I was thinking to pursue a master degree, overseas. And after that period of like research, I found UNH, that I realized it was one of the top four, I think, for IP. I just look for like the best IP program. And also like I love the area. I had the experience to be in New England once, and so that's why I chose UNH as well, because it was a beautiful area that I already knew, um, and it has many opportunities there to meet other, IP related colleagues, and yeah, that's why I chose UNH, and yeah, I'm really happy with my decision.
Thank you, Gabby. And Gabby and I was actually just in Washington, D.C., where Gabby is located or working now. And so I had a chance to reconnect with her just recently. And it turns out that we're both going to be at Stowe Mountain next week for a ski trip. So we'll get to see each other again. Let me turn now to we have our two panelists who are current LLM students with us. So, Victoria, let me turn to you so that you can introduce yourself and share which program you're enrolled in and a little bit about what brought you to our school.
Hello everyone, I'm Victoria and I'm from Russia. I has professional experience over 8 years in Russia, and my specialization was focused on bankruptcy law and company support. I decided to pursue LLM in Commerce and Technology Law in UNH because I wanted to improve my qualification to work with companies in international market, and it was my main reason.
Thank you, Victoria. And Chelsea, I know we were having some tech issues before. Are you able to hear us and to speak now?
My name is Chelsea Alubani. I'm actually from Ghana. I'm a lawyer there. Uh, I was fortunate enough to begin my career working in EcoBank Ghana. Currently, I am pursuing my LLM in IP in the University of New Hampshire, Franklin Pierce. I think when I was working in EcoBank, my interest was drawn to IP, and I wanted to pursue that at least for my further education when it came to my master's. So when it came time for me to put that into consideration and consider where I should pursue that for, just like I think Victoria and everybody else, I also started the research and I found UNH Franklin Pierce. So that was why I decided to go there and pursue my master's here.
Thank you, Chelsea. And while you're here, let me move to our next question now that we're all introduced. And so I'm curious to hear, I'll start with you and then Victoria, just a little bit about your experience so far in terms of your class sizes, the overall learning environment, what your relationships are like with your colleagues and your professors.
I think as of now, my largest class is about maybe 50 students. So that is compared to my smallest class, which is about 9 students. So coming from a country where that is very rare, that distinction or that class size was just a bit of a shock for me. But that is currently the class size that I'm working with. And I know that most of our other classes, even ones that I'm not in, really operate within that space. So it gives you a good opportunity to be able to interact really easily with the lecturers, to be able to interact with your colleagues as well when topics come up, when discussions have to be had. And fortunately, in UNH, the lecturers are really open to discussion. They're really open to whether it is that you don't understand something or you want to actually, dissect something because you have a different opinion or a different view. They're always open to that discussion, whether in class or with their office hours. Office hours are something that our lecturers love so much here. They're always open to, or they're also always open to students to be able to come in, discuss whether it is particular topics you don't understand, whether it is a test that happened that you don't completely understand your answers or completely understand why you didn't get certain grades. They're always open to having those discussions with you during your office hours, or even just having interactions with them about their careers, even because I mean they are professionals in the same space that you're trying to enter. So they're always open to that type of interaction. As to our fellow students also, fortunately, even though we're LLM students, we do have some classes with JD students who are doing the law school program. And that is awesome also because it gives you another form of interaction because we do interact with our own LLM students, our own international students, but we also have communication with JD students. So it gives you a different viewpoint or a different interaction also with them in class because you have to work together sometimes. There's so many assignments. They give us maybe group work and all of that. You're put in a situation where you have to interact. You're put in a situation where you have to indeed have that sort of communication with one another. So that sort of open field or that sort of diversity of opinion in terms of having JD students, in terms of having LM students, in terms of having even international students from all over the world is such a diverse field for you to have so many different opinions and so many different points of views when it comes to topics. And I think UNH really helps with that in terms of in class creating that sort of comfortable environment through the lectures, of course, for you to be able to have that open communication with everybody, faculty and students alike.
Thank you, Chelsea. That's such a thorough response. So I appreciate you kind of tackling that from all angles. Victoria, anything you would want to add to that about your relationships with your classmates or your professors and how that's kind of shaped your journey here.
Yeah, sure. I also would like to say that I definitely support Chelsea's opinion. It absolutely true. It's same for me as well. And also, I can just add that faculty members, there's very accessible and supportive every time if I have questions about my assignment and generally about the lessons or difficulties. I can reach out to them and they're helping and clarifying things. We also have different organizations like Office of Career Advisor and Office of Academic Success. They can help choose courses which you would like to put in your um, schedule. I had some difficulties when I started to study in UNH because it was my first program where I can choose my own courses. Before that, I used to study in a different type of program. And the services help me plan my schedule each semester based on my career goals and realistic workload because at the beginning I used to try to put as much courses as I can and it was too much for me.
Victoria, I'm so glad you mentioned that the workload. I think so. Most LLM programs in the US require 24 credits. Our students are really fortunate in that we allow them to take up to 34 credits at no additional cost. That doesn't mean that they should, though. I think that the workload really, I think students are often surprised at just how much they're expected to do and read before they even show up for class. And that can be a huge adjustment. And while, of course, you're here for your studies and they should be primary, there's this whole kind of outside the classroom thing that's happening too. I mentioned earlier the student organizations, some of the school sponsored activities, and different guest speakers that get brought in. And we want to make sure that you have the bandwidth to participate in those special activities as well. So it is a really nuanced balance of the classes and making sure you can have the whole experience of being at a US law school, getting to spend time even outside the law school and experiencing the local culture. And so I'm glad that you have the support here to kind of figure out what that, how to finesse that balance for your own needs. And as you mentioned, there's so many courses to choose from. You, of course, need to make sure that you're taking the classes to meet your requirements. But then there's room for more. And so kind of trying to figure out, with the limited time you have here, which classes to prioritize. So we certainly do have folks here that are here to help with that. Chelsea, let me just go back to you. You took advantage of kind of one of our more unique offerings from as through our specialized IP program. Currently enrolled in our intellectual property and transaction clinic. So I wondered if you could just share a little bit about your experience in that. I know you only just started that class about a month ago, but tell us so far, kind of, what that's been like, and how you think it will be valuable to you in your practice.
Okay. Um, as Sarah said, I was fortunate enough to be admitted in the IP transactions clinic here. It has been amazing so far, honestly. Last semester, I was able to take trademark and copyright, the theoretical part of it, and going into this semester, I found out that there was an opportunity through the clinic to have sort of more of a practical exposition of everything that I'd learned theoretically. And so I applied for it. Of course, there's a process to it, which I'm sure when time comes, you would go through it. But once I was in the clinic, we started everything from the jump. At the beginning of this semester, we had an orientation just to let us know how things operated and everything. So when you get into the IP transactions clinic, you're given the opportunity to simply operate as a student attorney. Obviously, you're going to be under the supervision of your professor. I was fortunate enough, the professor who taught me trademark law is a professor who is currently supervising me, Professor Perez, an amazing attorney. And so currently in the IP trademark clinic, you're just given the opportunity, as I said, to sort of have a more practical overview of everything. You're giving your own clients, you're in charge of your own clients. You're meant to see a case, So at least the end of the semester, but you are in charge of everything that goes on in that case. So you are registered with the USPTO as a student attorney, of course, under the supervision of a professor. So each and every case that you take on is you seeing that case to completion, at least for the semester. So I think currently I have about three clients. One is for a registration of a mark. One is for an office action, which is more intricate trademark work. But simply put, it is you having, they're giving you the opportunity to sort of put a practical outlook to everything that you've learned in the classroom. You're giving your clients, you have your client meetings with them, you have your periods or your times when you're supposed to, have interactions with your professor because they're not leaving you to your own devices, don't worry. You are being given the opportunity to always confer with them when you're confused about something, always confer with them when you need advice about how to go forward with the client. But you are given that sort of independence also to operate to do what you believe is best for your client in terms of what your client needs and what your clients' wants are in the position that they're in. So currently, as I said, I have about three clients. I'm going through the process of putting in a new trademark, which is an amazing thing for me because I think that is one of the main things that as a trademark attorney, at least practicing in the US, you should at least be able to do. So I've been given the opportunity to sort of do that process from root, have a fresh client meeting, go through the process of getting my information from them, putting the application through, seeing how the application goes through, and seeing that to completion. And that is amazing because if not for this opportunity, I mean, when you're thrust into the world, you're going to have to do this on somebody else's buck. And here, although the clinic doesn't offer, although there's no payment for services here, we are still upheld to the same standards or ethics as any other attorney out there through our professor's supervision, of course, and through, of course, your own morality because you are taking people's time, you are taking people's dreams into your hands. And for me, honestly, as prospectively an IP specialist, that was one of the things that really was the reason why I went into IP because I always say that I don't have the talent for the dream, but I can help you get the dream. And that is what as a lawyer you always want to do. You always want to be able to create or facilitate an opportunity for people to be able to attain their dreams through their businesses, through entrepreneurship, whatever it is. And working through IP helps to really facilitate that. You hear people speak about their dreams, you hear people speak about what they want for their businesses, and you try to create the perfect tools or the perfect opportunities to help them get that. And the clinic has been one of those avenues that the school has provided that has given me a realistic taste for what it will be like practicing out there because these are real people with real dreams, with real ambitions who want their businesses to go somewhere and who have future attainments that they have in mind. So any decision that you make for them now, you always have to take that into consideration. And although that burden is heavy, I mean, as a lawyer, you're always going to have to house that heavy burden. So I think that the clinic also just puts that into real perspective. And I'm really appreciating my time there. I'm really having a lot of fun there right now.
Chelsea, thank you. That is like such a beautiful, thoughtful response. I think a lot of times, and understandably so, students approach the clinic as a great opportunity for them to get this hands-on experience, to build their resume, to show they had some work experience in the US. And it is all of those things and designed to do that. But you really just put such a human touch on it too, and kind of, the responsibility of that you're helping real people with their real dreams, and that is a huge responsibility. And that they're trusting you with that and trusting our school and our professors and our students with their dreams. So thank you. And I'm glad to hear you're having such a positive experience in the clinic. Um, okay, Gabby, let me turn to you and just talk a little bit about kind of student life and kind of what how you experienced a sense of community here among the LLM students in particular, but the broader community, and what prospective students watching today should know about student life here at our school.
I totally treasured my time at UNH because of, the sense of community that I experienced there. It starts with like, just getting to know the deans, the staff, the faculty. Every day there's like something going on in the at the law school. I remember one of the things that like really surprised me at the time, it was that how like friendly and um I don't know how close like you feel with like your your professor and like the dean. I remember like the dean was like knowing my name and everything. At that time was Dean Carpenter. And so it was like for me coming from like Paraguay, which is like maybe I didn't have that type of relationship with my professors in my home country because they were like kind of like a little more professional type of situation. But here it's like because like the law school is not that big, that also gives you the opportunity to know everyone and in terms of like the faculty and like talk to your professor, and of course like your classmates, not only the LLMs but also the JDs. um I I made so many friends, and also the opportunities that UNH has on like events, and I don't know, I remember one of my treasured memories was the international student. How was I don't remember the name of right now, but it was like to showcase your home country. And I remember I was, one of the speakers for my home country. I learned a lot about like my classmates' home countries as well, um, their culture. It was like such a fun time. And yeah, like you can talk to the deans, you can talk to your professor. They are super friendly. They're always there to help you. And yeah, those were the times that I was like, oh my God, this is so nice. They're so nice. And they're there to help you succeed. That's their main goal. You will never have to, beg for like attention or something like that. And yeah, they're always there and super open to help you with whatever you need.
Gabby, I think you were referencing our international student seminars.
There you go. Yes. I
Yeah,
didn't
and
remember the name, but I
there's
had
been
so much fun
they
doing
were
that.
wonderful. It's been a couple of years now, I think, since we've been able to do them because our student organizations are just so busy with activities. It's hard to find the times, but they really were such a nice opportunity to get to know a little bit more about one another's cultures and for students to share.
Yes,
And also, I think, I heard from students that to kind of stand up in front of a group of people and have to speak in
exactly.
English,
Yes.
that it can be scary, but really empowering. So, I'm glad that you mentioned those. Victoria, just I'm curious if you have, as a current student now, if you have anything you would want to add to what Gabby just shared.
Yes, I would like to support this opinion. There is a lot of opportunity to communicate with each other, with other students, with faculty members. As was mentioned, there in UNH a lot of student organizations which also provided different events when you can meet other students and be engaging. Or from the last event, I can remember that there was a trip with other international students to main campus in UNH University in Durham. We watched the hockey game. It was so fun, and it also was organized by a student organization.
Thank you. Okay, Carla, I haven't forgotten about you out there, so I'm going to turn to you next, and we'll kind of continue on with like the student life piece. So I'm curious if you could just share a little bit about the co-curricular activities that you participated in specifically. Which student organizations, groups did you join, and how do these experiences contribute to your personal and professional growth?
Yeah, sure. So during my LLM year, I was part of the Sports and Entertainment Law org. But one of the many things that I was proud of was being one of the founding members of the UNH Asian Pacific American Law Students Association, or APALSA, with my fellow LLM and JD cohorts, we realized that a significant percentage of the students in our class were from Asia or had an Asian heritage. So, like for me, I'm from the Philippines, India, Vietnam, Thailand, Taiwan, South Korea, China. We all wanted to celebrate our community and foster a diverse academic and cultural environment within the school, especially since we saw that there was already a Black Law Students Association and a Hispanic and Latin American Law Student Association. So we wanted to do that for the Asian community, and we were very lucky that the school actually supported us with that. They helped us found it and have it be accredited with the National APALSA. And we did have these small celebrations like each other's holidays. And like what Gabby and Sarah mentioned, we enjoyed the international student sharing seminars because we were able to promote awareness about our own culture since for most of the class, both JD and LLM, it's their first time meeting someone from, say, the Philippines or Vietnam or Thailand. So it was really nice to learn about each other. And aside from that, you're also really able to build a strong network. And we're still very good friends up to now. We still keep in touch and meet up with each other for international conferences like INTA or the Asian Patent Association, APAA, or when we visit each other's countries for holiday or travel. So having that community definitely helped while we were there and also professionally since you're able to connect with different friends from around the world. And that really made the whole stay enriching.
Thank you, Carla. And I'll stick with you. Um, as you know, I mentioned earlier that while the student organizations are hosting events, the law school and our different centers, such as our Intellectual Property Center or our Office of Career and Academic Advising, they are also hosting special events. So I'm wondering if you can talk about any of these that you attended or any kind of special classes that you took through the school.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to talk about very quickly two very important experiences for me. So I was very fortunate to have been able to take so many interesting and niche classes during my LLM year. My art law paper for that class was selected for presentation at the INTA, International Trademark Association's Academic Scholarship Symposium in 2022. It was on traditional art, and I was very lucky and fortunate to have my professors encourage me to submit that paper and have it be peer reviewed by other professors from other institutions in different parts of the world. Another one of my most memorable was we had an immersion class in Silicon Valley. So we had an opportunity to fly all the way to California to spend a week in Microsoft campus in San Jose and visit the Google campus as well and learn from experts at Microsoft, Google, Samsung, Apple, Dolby, Qualcomm. And it was great because we were able to learn from the actual in-house legal counsels, especially Professor Mickey Minhas, who was at the time the director of the Franklin Pierce IP Center and who was previously legal counsel for Microsoft. So to hear from these legal counsels from these different companies and to hear about their approach on dealing with many issues within the company, like licensing or how they deal with infringement, IP prosecution, and basically addressing the intersection between IP protection and managing their business or managing the company. It was a good experience because we learn a lot inside the classroom, the academic and theoretical aspect of it. But of course, it's valuable to hear from people who are actually practicing it and see how these concepts play out in the real world when there are more considerations at play aside from just the law or what the cases or jurisprudence says, but how the markets move, how you deal with clients or the business unit. So that was a really, really enriching experience for me. And I appreciated having taken that class during my LLM.
Thank you, Carla. Gabby, anything you would want to add about any kind of special guest event speakers or anybody else as well that would want to talk about any other additional activities you participated in?
Yeah, no, I remember one of the events and like the special speaker that came to the law school and that I remember and I actually like always have that in mind. I don't remember her name, but she was one of the main attorneys. Um I don't remember like the speaker itself, but I remember like what we did, and it was a career services event for networking. And I am really struggling still with networking. I'm like practicing every day. But at that time, I was like really new. I didn't know about much about networking because that's not a thing that we do in my home country. So she came and she did um like an event that shows us how to network properly, and we did like a couple of like practice situations as well. It was so nice. And I remember my trademark professor was there, career services was there. I don't remember her name right now, but she was one of the main attorneys of a big law firm. And yeah, that was so nice. And I always remember her, tips and tricks for networking. So that was one of the events that I remember until this day.
Thank you. Okay, I'm mindful of the time and I do want to make sure we leave some time for questions. So, but I still have so many questions for all of you. Chelsea, let me just turn back to you for a moment and just kind of ask about, in what ways you think, or maybe already has the LLM program influenced kind of your career aspirations or opened up new opportunities, or, how do you think it will serve you moving forward?
Okay. Thank you. For me, I think before even starting the program, my interest was particularly for copyright law. I did go in and I saw for our IP topics, as an IP student here, you are required to do a number of IP courses. So I did pick trademark, but honestly, I was like, okay, let's just do this and see what happens. But my interest was really in copyright law. But after my first two classes, honestly, I was drawn to it. And honestly, going forward, that is where most of my interest is, at least in terms of my career. And I think I spoke extensively about the clinic, and the clinic has just facilitated or created that sort of opportunity for me to really delve more into trademark law, which is what I believe I want to do going forward. And is also allowed me to have an opening into the USPTO to completely understand that process also, because as we know, the law is not just, what you learn in class, it's really procedure also, and procedure changes everywhere. And through the clinic, through the school, I've been able to be exposed to what procedure is as to the USPTO, because that's completely different, that's completely distinct. And the LLM program has given me that opportunity. It gave me a discovery into a new love that is trademark law, and it has also helped me to be able to, delve more into that aspect of the law in a practical sense also. And going forward, I've been lucky enough. I think I've had a couple of interviews. I've been trying to get an internship recently, and I've had a couple of interviews, solely based on the fact of the clinic that I'm doing at the moment, because that is indeed, as Professor as Dean Donna said, that is practical experience that you have on your CV, because that is them knowing that, when they put you out there in a practical sense, you will be able to stand up, you'll be able to do what you're supposed to do. And that experience is really what we all need. And I've been lucky enough to get that here.
Thank you, Chelsea. Okay, I've got two more questions. Let me turn back to our alumni for this one, Carla and Gabby. I'm hoping you can share a little bit how earning your LLM from UNH Franklin Pierce really impacted your resume, your professional network, and your job prospects. So Chelsea just spoke a little bit about how she anticipates that will happen for her, but I'm wondering from the two of you, and Carla, I'll start with you, kind of the reality of how this has played out for you after graduating.
Yeah, so for me personally, and like a few of some of my classmates during my LLM year, a few of us actually took our LLM to advance our careers back home. So it has opened so many doors for me back in Manila. Since graduating, I have been invited by and have with the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines, our Department of Science and Technology, and our Department of Trade and Industry for a lot of their capacity building efforts. And I've become part of their roster of lecturers for lawyers and for other professionals on IP. Luckily, I've also been able to teach in law school here in the Philippines. And at the same time, while I did not take the bar exam in the US after my graduation, I believe having taken the LLM in addition to my JD has kept that door open for me, and there remains a good opportunity for should I want to shift gears and move to the US or move to another jurisdiction to practice. But luckily here, I've been able to really grow in my practice. I have since been promoted and I have been able to handle more complex legal cases, not only for Philippine clients, but we do have a lot of other multinational and international companies do the LLM really helped me guide them through more complex issues while successfully adapting them to Philippine law and giving them a perspective of a lawyer who has both practice and academic experience from the US.
Thank you, Carla. And you're, I think a great example of one of our students who returned to their home country. And then we have Gabby here, who's a great example of a student who ended up staying in the US. So, Gabby, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that question about the impact of the LLM on your career.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, the LLM really changed my life. I didn't expect at that time that I was gonna stay here. But yeah, after graduation, of course, I was looking for jobs to be able to use the F1 OPT program, which gives you a year of practice here in the US. And yeah, I was looking for jobs as everyone on my class as well. And career services was super helpful. I am forever grateful with them because they helped me with my resume. They helped me with my, like how to navigate that job searching here in the US, which is not easy for international students. And yeah, I ended up finding an opportunity here in the DC area, Washington, DC area, and in a boutique law firm, specialized in IP. And they were looking for someone like me, with an international background. I had a lot of experience with, these trademark portfolio companies in my home country. And I happened to have the experience that they were looking for. And they hired me as first like as a fellowship for a year for during my OPT, which I think Sarah, like I don't know if you want to talk about that more after this. But yeah, during that program, I was doing a fellowship, and after that, yeah, they sponsored a work visa for me. I was lucky enough to, be able to get that as well. And so yeah, I am working now in the same law firm. I was promoted a year, I think it was like August last year. Um, and yeah, I'm working with like, real cases, real people. And especially here in the US, I was doing trademark prosecution in my home country as well, but like it was between my jurisdiction. But here working, in the US, within the US legal system, and also with international clients as well. It's amazing. And yeah, I am doing that type of work, trademark prosecution. And yeah, also we have copyright cases as well. And yeah, career services help me navigate the job searching, which ended up finding me this opportunity, this amazing opportunity. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Gabby. You mentioned OPT, optional practical training. So this is what allows students after they complete their LLM degree, they can apply to stay in the US to work for up to 12 months. And so we have an Office of International Students and Scholars that will help students with the visa aspect of that. And then, as Gabby mentioned, our career services team will help with actually, the job search process. And so that's how, Gabby, you kind of utilized the OPT to be able to stay. And then that ended up kind of transitioning into more permanent work here. So wonderful. Thank you. Okay. I know we have to turn it back to the LLM study team in just a moment, but so let me ask you all just one final question about, for Gabby and Carla and really Chelsea and Victoria too, if you'd like, kind of looking back, if you have one piece of advice to give someone who's considering applying to the LLM program here at our school or any other school in the US, what advice would you have to offer for the folks listening today?
Yes. So yeah, I think one of the main pieces of advice that I will give someone that is currently, thinking of applying is that, prepare yourself to read a lot, to in my case, the differences of on legal systems. I don't know if there's like anyone that is Latino there in the audience. But yeah, we have in my home country, we have a totally different legal system. And so I was reading a lot before, just after being admitted and everything. I was reading a lot about like the differences in legal systems. So I was kind of like prepare for that. Be ready as well to just participate in everything. It's always so nice to have so many opportunities in the law school. And yeah, don't like just like go to just study, like try to take advantage of the events, of the opportunities, and meet a lot of people. That's a way you can kind of like build your own network and everything. And yeah, that will be my advice. And if you want to do the bar exam as well, try to prepare for that like really early as well if you're thinking on doing that. And yeah, I think those are my pieces of advice. Yeah.
For me, just really quickly, I think it would help if while you're doing your assessment of what programs to take or which schools to go to, or if you're considering UNH Franklin Pierce in particular, I think it really helps as well to look at, what subjects are they offering, what type of fields the professors are actually specializing in. For me, in my experience, I was really appreciative of the fact that Sarah connected me with one of our professors even before I got to UNH, just because she realized that my practice was very much in line with a particular professor's line of study. So that really helped. But at the same time, don't limit yourself to what you already know. Say, like what Gabby said, just do everything, say yes to a lot of things and outside of school, enjoy the weather. For me, I came from a tropical country, so choosing New Hampshire was definitely a big choice, a bold choice. But I ended up enjoying my stay there because winter was long, beautiful, and New Hampshire is a neighboring state to beautiful places like Boston, Maine, Vermont. So definitely consider the environment.
Thank you, Carla. Okay, I know we have just a couple minutes left, so Gareth, let me turn it back over to you. I think I saw a couple of questions come in, and then definitely some chat about kind of
Yeah.
some visa related stuff.
You did. First of all, thank you to all of you that have participated. Sarah, I think you could have just sat back there and let them all talk together. I think it's been great. It's
That was
so,
my
so thank
plan all
you.
along. That was
So thank you. And I'm sure, based upon everyone that's still watching, everyone that joined to begin with is still watching. It's a highly engaging session. So thank you all. We have had some questions. I've got some questions of my own as well. If I can start with the two alumni, and if I can invite Gabriella and Carla back on very quickly. Um, Obviously, you're at a different stage in your career now to the two current students that we've also got on with us. Gabriella, if I can start with yourself, at what stage did you know that you wanted to get involved with IP? Was it quite early, or when you were doing your undergrad degree, or when you were doing your JD? Was that the road you wanted to go down straight away, or did you kind of fall into that?
That's a really great question because at that time, 2018 in my home country, um, we didn't have IP as a subject in my like in my JD, well, yeah, LLB.
Yeah.
So after graduation, I was already a lawyer. I found a job in an IP law firm in my home country, and it was there that I learned about IP. Because I was, like in the trademark department. So I was really, oh my God, like I didn't know this was a thing. And so I really, really liked it. And I always had like that, I have been really, a crafty person, like creative. I love art. I love to draw. And so I didn't quite know what was, about like IP and everything. And like I was already a lawyer and I needed to learn from scratch. And during my experience in that job, everything about IP, and I loved it. And that's why I wanted to pursue something, more, you know, deep
Yeah.
on that sense. And yeah, that's how I chose to pursue my master's as well.
And thank you for that, Gabriella. And Carla, yourself, obviously we've heard a great insight how you've come from the Philippines. You've gone back to the Philippines. You've obviously, you've got a fantastic career ahead of you now. Was this something that you always knew you wanted to do? Or again, a bit like Gabriella, did you kind of fall into it a little bit upon learning about it?
Before I took my law school, my JD, my undergraduate was in literature. So I was already interested in that. We had our intellectual property subject in law school. I realized, oh, that's a field that I'm actually really interested in. So I was very conscious to apply for law firms that have a good IP department when I graduated. Yeah, so I was lucky that the law firm, I worked for a boutique law firm. So our partners encouraged us really to pursue additional education, take up seminars, and like myself, take up my master's because they know that if it's interesting enough for you, then it's going to be an interesting experience to learn more about the field.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Carla, and appreciate your time again for coming on. What was it that appealed to you? What made it the right program specifically for you, as an international student coming over to UNH?
Okay.
I think for me, different factors played in, honestly. But for me, first, it was, of course, it being a good school for IP, which is what I wanted to concentrate in. Two, it was honestly geography as well, because I wanted it to be a place where I'm not a city person. I don't like chaos a lot, but I mean, I love to take advantage of, the city, having that kind of city environment also. So I felt like Concord was a perfect place. I could be my little bubble in Concord, and if I wanted to get busy a little, I could just take a bus to Boston if I needed to. So that also appealed to me really. And it was just also the beauty is such a beautiful environment and it's such a serene environment. So I was able to also contact an alumni because it was one of the schools I had in mind. And I just wanted, like, fortunately for me, she was also from my country, Ghana. And I just wanted to know how the staff were, how the lectures were. Because for me, I am a bit of an introvert when it comes to class. I'm not very likely to raise my hand, at least before in my previous program. So I wanted a situation where at least the lecturers did make that easy because I wanted to come out. And I think just as Gabriella was talking about, networking, because I knew that that is essential to your career as a lawyer. So I needed to put myself out there and I wanted to be put in a position where that would be as smooth as possible. So speaking to alumni, I discovered that, you know, the lectures did make that easy. The lectures did facilitate that. They did create the opportunity for that. And I've been fortunate to be able to be put in positions where I'm able to, have interactions freely, have communications with students, staff, colleagues very easily also. So I think all these different factors sort of intersected for me perfectly with
Yeah.
UNH for
And
me to
and
apply.
apologies there. How did you find the application process? There'll be many students that will be in your position from an African nation, perhaps, that will go, It's a very long-winded, and everyone knows that, when it comes to LLM application stages, it can be very difficult. How did you find that because of the support you had from alumni connections and from the staff also?
I think the process was difficult in my head because obviously when you're about to start your master's program, first thing you have to do is your research. You have to put together what do you need, the documentation in terms of funds, what do you need to push this application through. And when it came to that, I think I had like a whole list of everything. I think my list was like 2 pages of stuff that I believed I needed. And speaking to alumni, getting on the website, I think communicating with the dean, Assistant Dean Sarah Donna was so open and available even before I was admitted into the school, just the questions about anything that I needed. And I think that communication was so important to help me know exactly what I needed to do even before, you know, time was on my neck before it became, a fight against the time. Do I need documentation? Do I need to apply for this a way ahead of time? Maybe this is going to take 3 months to come through. Okay, let me apply for it now so I have time and I'm not, so angsty about it. There were so many things that the school helped with in terms of just giving very clear information and clear instruction on what needed to be done, what was required, and even where you don't have that, giving you the opportunity to get that, giving you that, bandwidth to get that if need be. Because sometimes, in my country, time is very lax a bit, you apply for stuff, it tells you it's coming in 2 weeks and it's taking a month. So they
Yeah.
do give you that bandwidth to be able to get what you need, get the documentation you need if need be. And also, I think the open communication with Assistant Dean Donna and as well as my alumni connection through the Student Ambassador program was so important to me because I needed somebody who was there. I needed somebody who was actually on ground to tell me what was happening, to tell me the process, to tell me what she went through so that I could know that, you know, this is not just the website is just it's just software. It's just writings on a page.
Yeah.
But having somebody who's actually gone through the process, informing me about what I needed, what needed to be done, what could be done when I encountered problems it was a perfect situation for me and it really helped to push through the process and make it much easier.
Excellent. Thank you, Chelsea. Victoria, I'm just going to come to you quickly just before I come back to serve a couple of questions that have been asked. It's been fascinating to hear about all the different cultures and backgrounds in terms of where they've come from, where they are now. If you could just tell me and explain to me what was it that made IP appealing for you? Again, going back to what the others have kind of said, some of them knew they were going to do it. Some of them it kind of fell on their lap a little bit. Where do you stand on that? Where were you?
I'm not studying in IP courses, I'm studying in commerce and technology, and I can say that main advantage of this program for me is the courses because I used to work with startup companies and I'm really in technology, law regulation in technology, and UNH offer a lot of courses. For example, in copyright courses, we looked how artificial intelligence might be regulated by copyright law, and I can say that it's really useful for me. And second factor is of course location because university located in New England region, and it is close to me by my previous experience.
Yeah. You mentioned AI then, artificial intelligence. Did that play a part because of its prevalence now and how important it is to modern day technology in terms of LLM and law? Was that a big factor for you?
Yes, not only this one, but other regulation, technology regulation, because I have different courses like e-commerce and law,
Yeah.
which also was taught to me in this university. And I can say that yes, not a lot of university offer this type of courses which provided a law frame for current technologies. And I can say that if someone would like to expand vision in this part of current environment, it is a good university.
Superb. Thank you, Victoria. And apologies leaving you to the end there. Just wanted to hear from everyone else as well. Sarah, if I can invite you back on at this stage, I'm just conscious of time of everyone watching. So we'll try and just wrap things up. But there are a couple of questions that have been asked around funding and scholarships, always a key topic. What opportunities are there for students and are they applied when they first apply?
Yeah, so let me, generally speaking, most US law schools have some scholarship assistance for LLM students. However, it's really uncommon that there be full tuition funding, just not common for LLM programs. And the same is true when it comes to kind of teaching assistants or research and graduate assistantships. They really just don't exist for LLM programs for the most part, broadly speaking, because you're just here for 1 year. And so we've seen some cases where a student might be able to get an RA position in their second semester. But I say that because students, I think, are looking for those opportunities as a way to help show proof of funds to get their visa. And it's not going to happen. There might be opportunities to work on campus, but those jobs typically you can't apply to until you're actually on campus. So they can't really count towards your proof that you have the funds you need. Um, and so in regards to the scholarship piece, we do offer really generous partial tuition scholarships. It's built into our application process with I think like one or two exceptions for some special scholarships. But for the most part, when students apply, they can check a box indicating that they're interested in being considered for scholarships. And then when we review their applications, we'll make those decisions looking at both merit, financial need. I would say nearly all students who request some scholarship support get something from us, with a typical package probably in the range of about 25 to 45% of the cost of tuition. So pretty substantial.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that struck me so far is the international nature. I mean, we've heard from somebody from Ghana, from the Philippines. We've heard obviously European contingents. We've heard Latino backgrounds, which is great. Does that mean it's a bit of a home for everyone in essence? Because everyone is kind of studying in the same boat, so that they have to start from fresh. They're coming from a different country. They might not speak great English, but obviously they've passed the required tests, and therefore there's a bit of they all come together, which is quite nicely.
Yeah, I think we definitely see that from year to year with our LLM cohort that there's kind of, you're in this together. I remember my own personal experience of studying abroad, and you kind of naturally gravitate to the other international students because you're going through this journey together. So we absolutely see that, but we also see these students forming relationships with the JD students are US students, particularly through student groups and, finding shared interests. So it's not like you're only friends with the international students, but I think that's home base. That's kind of, there's a comfort there for sure.
And I think it's important to point out as well, although you are very strong, I keep calling it IP. We're all paraphrasing intellectual property, apologies. But you do obviously cover commerce and technology law that we've obviously heard about as well. How important is it if you're not sure to keep an open mind? Because there'll be many students that perhaps don't know what they want to do yet. They're at that stage where they might need to make their mind up, or like we've heard from students, go and educate themselves, fall into a job and perhaps find an alternative route. How important is it that they perhaps get it right at this stage?
Yeah, so the reason I exist and my colleagues exist at other schools is to help students to have these conversations to figure out what the right fit is for them. Because there's not a one size fits all. We talked about today the different specializations that our school offers, but you name an area of law and there's an LLM that's designed for that. And then, I appreciate that Chelsea kind of referenced geography as a criteria that was important to her. Some students really want to be in a big city. Some students don't want to have the four seasons. They want it to just be sunny year round. So those are other factors that people might be considering. And so we're here to kind of help you untangle all of that. I think, and I don't want to give kind of just this like broad advice because it is personal to each student. For some, even if they aren't exactly sure where they're going to end up, it might still be good timing to move forward with the LLM because they know that will be part of their journey. For others, they might want to get a little bit more experience working first to help inform what area they might want to specialize in. So it really depends on the individual student.
We have our one question coming, and what is the fate for those that their country falls under the travel restrictions? Obviously, I think most will be aware of the concerns and the issues around certain countries, and students get into the USA. I mean, they've always relied on those students as well, haven't they, the USA? So, what would you say to a
Yeah,
student?
it's certainly challenging times and a lot of kind of uncertainty for students. But what I can say for now, because I don't know what the future holds,
Yeah,
is that right now, students from any country are welcome to apply. If you're admissible, then you're admissible. Likewise, our Office of International Students and Scholars will issue the I-20. At the same time, most schools do require a deposit before you can kind of start that visa process. And so at this point in time where there's a student from a country that's on one of those restricted lists, we've been advising them to kind of hold off for now. The last thing we want to do is start taking people's money if it's
yeah.
not the right time for them to actually be able to come and join us. So um, I think it's hard to know when things will shift again. Um, so I think what I want to leave you with is that the admissions decision is kind of separate from whether you're eligible for a visa, but that those things do kind of come together, and that if your country is currently on a list where there's restrictions, it might make sense to hold off for a little bit. You can still apply. We do work with students who wish to defer. So there is that pathway too, but I'd be happy to talk with those students separately to kind of figure
Yeah.
out the best plan.
And there's still an online opportunity, of course, as well. I mean, that's one of the
That's,
great things about you guys.
yeah.
You've got that online opportunity, haven't you?
That's a thank you for that reminder. You should come work with me. Um, so yeah, so we have the IP program is 100% online for students who aren't able or prefer to stay working in their country while they earn their degree. And then we also offer a fully online degree in international criminal law and justice. And so that
Yeah.
those are great options for students who either can't come right now or who want to continue working while they earn their degree. They want to stay home with their family. So it gives them that flexibility to enroll in an LLM program on a part-time schedule as well.
And the education is still as strong, isn't it? I mean, that's one of the takeaways that we're trying to talk about to everyone, really, is that online education is so strong now. A lot of it is actually aimed towards delivering even to those students that are on campus for flexibility purposes,
Yeah,
just to be able
absolutely.
to kind of guide it towards online because everybody likes that option, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, online's maybe not the right fit for everyone. And for students who, do want to pursue optional practical training or sit for a bar exam, an in-person program is most likely the better fit for you. But if the goal for you is the degree itself, then the online program may be a great option, and the degree that you earn is the same as the degree you would earn with us in person.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not forget as well, in future careers, we've heard from people from Ghana, from Manila. I don't think it really matters these days. With technology, you can do your employment in the future online as well also. So, Sarah, thank you very much. To all the students in the background, a huge thank you for taking part. We really appreciate it. I'm sure the team at UNH do as well, really giving up your time. It's been a really long session, but a really engaging one, and it's great to hear from you all. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Any students watching who have missed anything whatsoever, or if you're watching on demand and you're not sure on anything, please rewatch the webinar. This will be on llmstudy.com. It will also be on the UNH profile page, which is on LLM Study, or it will be on our social media channels also. If you have any questions, webinars at postgradsolutions.com is the best contact, or reach out to Sarah and the team directly. Like we've heard, they're a lovely bunch and they'll be happy to communicate with you directly. Sarah, and I think it's Gabriella, have a lovely time on your ski holiday in a couple of weeks' time. I can't believe you're on the same trip. And we look forward to seeing you all again soon. Take care. Thank you. Bye bye.